When Xiomara Castro was elected president in 2021, many welcomed her as a voice of change. Unfortunately, the reality has been significantly different. She has institutionalized a government based on extreme political ideology and has repeatedly expressed an affinity for totalitarian regimes, including those of Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua. As the first months of the administration progressed, concerns immediately grew regarding the direction of the new government, particularly following her decision to eliminate and sever all diplomatic ties with Taiwan and establish and recognize the Communist Party and Republic of China. She has also failed to seat the Israeli ambassador, who has been credentialed before her for over a year and a half. They've also organized groups of street thugs, organized and funded by the government known as colectivos, to influence episodes of tension and violence and to intimidate the election authorities and the National Congress. Several high-level officials also chose to resign due to internal disagreements or differences of opinion with their government. Among them was Edmundo Orellana, who served as Secretary of Transparency and Anti-Corruption. In the period leading up to the current election, civil society organizations, political sectors, and observers have expressed concerns over irregularities, particularly regarding delays and obstacles in contracting of essential services for Election Day. Recently, the tensions between the executive branch and the National Electoral Council have intensified. The former president of the Electoral Council, Cosette Lopez Osorio, has reported receiving death threats and judicial pressure, which, according to her, were intended to force her resignation. Magistrate Ana Paula Hall has similarly conveyed in public forums that she perceives threats to her security, escalating concerns regarding a potential maneuver to replace current electoral authorities with individuals deemed to be much more aligned with the interests of the current administration. Just last February, President Xiomara Castro's government canceled the extradition agreement for narcotics trafficking and organized crime extradition to the United States. The agreement was ultimately reinstated, but I believe the question to the committee is, why would she take such an extreme measure? She's also threatened to cancel the military cooperation of the American base in Palmarola, threats that are made repeatedly and constantly at American diplomats in country. Another sensitive point is the role of the armed forces. If we look at the historic record, their function in election has been limited to the custody and transportation of ballot boxes across the country. However, recent statements by the High Command, particularly the General Roosevelt Hernandez, have been interpreted by some sectors as an attempt to involve themselves in areas beyond their constitutional authority, raising concerns about their impartiality. I would also like to add the maneuvers performed within the National Congress by the leadership of Luis Redondo similarly warrant close attention and cannot be disregarded. The government of Honduras has been operating under a state of emergency since 2022. The constitutional safeguards and rights of its citizens have ultimately been suspended. Redondo used this as an opportunity to continue ordinary sessions, despite more than 78 of the 128 members of Congress demanding to return to a regular session. Instead, he opted to create a permanent commission composed of 9 deputies aligned with his Libre Party. Through this structure, interim appointments could be imposed once officials of the National Election Council and Electoral Justice Tribunal are suspended or removed from the positions. Finally, the role of the public ministry has been subject of debate. Various opposition parties have alerted that the Attorney General, Yoel Zelaya, the nephew of Libre candidate Rixi Moncada, has been making decisions favoring his aunt, including legally contested actions against electoral authorities. Some officials in this environment have temporarily left the country due to fear of prosecution or death. For members of Congress and of the Trump administration, strengthening electoral transparency in Honduras is essential. Washington maintains a significant influence in the country through security operation, family ties, and deep bilateral economic cooperation. I commend the committee members for being here today and discussing this very important election. In less than 10 days, the future of one of our great allies will be decided.